Let's talk about a virtual example. You mentioned MrBeast. Could you describe that story?
I actually heard it on a podcast, but I also got a chance to talk to Jimmy Donaldson, so we got it firsthand. When he was infatuated with YouTube, he was one of the first people that was infatuated with YouTube. His parents were rightfully trying to get him to go to school and college, which he wasn't doing because he was playing around on YouTube all day. He met 3 other people who were equally fascinated with YouTube. And this is a virtual epicenter story, but it's really a peer story. One of my 6 principles is embrace your peers. And I think far too many people have sharp elbows to peers because they think, they're climbing the ladder and they've got to beat these people. And the world's just way too prosperous to have that mindset. Like, you can learn so much and get so much value from co-climbing that you should definitely do that. And I think it's not taught enough and people don't do it enough. But Jimmy happened on these 3 people and they got on a Skype call. He said 20 hours a day.
Sounds like Jimmy.
For years, they shared best practices on this call, which apparently in that world, like the color of the icon on the post you do on Instagram to send them to YouTube, like these little bitty esoteric things can impact conversion. And he said, when he was talking about this, that they all became millionaires. And he said, if you or any random individual had been a 5th person on those calls, you would have too, because of that. And it's just a wonderful example of how peers, he on this podcast said something that was very clever. He took the 10,000 hours thing from Gladwell and said, well, there were 4 of us spending 10,000 hours and then sharing ideas. So you get 40,000 hours of expertise.
How would you suggest people who are not on YouTube, where you can identify outliers, perhaps? I shouldn't say easily in this day and age. I mean, it's a sea of participants, but how should people go about seeking peers? And do you rank order your principles in a way, for instance, do you want to first check the box, if you can, of go where the action is, and then embrace your peers because the level will be higher? I think about, for instance, my experience in Silicon Valley. It could have just as easily, for something else, been Nashville or New York City or who knows, Shanghai. I mean, it just depends on what you're doing. The mentors, let's just say like Mike Maples Jr., who taught me the very basic ropes of angel investing. Without him, like, I don't go 0 to 1 in terms of having any basic literacy or access. So that was like the first rung on the ladder. But then once I was in, you look at people who were, in a sense, just getting started at the time. I mean, holy shit, some of them have really exploded. I mean, they've all done really well, like Kevin Rose, Naval, Chris Sacca. The ladder goes on forever, but like 49 rungs after that initial step up, 0 to 1, it was all peer driven, right?
Yeah.
And those guys, we were comparing notes the whole way.
See, that's the thing. I would say, first of all, I would practice it wherever you are. I would practice it virtually. I'd practice it locally. And if you can move to the epicenter, I'd practice it there. I don't know that it's an either or thing. You can have multiple groups of peers. You can have multiple circles of peers. But I think there's only 2 tests. And one is trust. There are people in this world who view everything as a zero-sum game, and they will elbow you out the first chance they can get. And so those shouldn't be your peers. Those people you should quickly push to the side. So trust, and then this shared interest in learning. And if they are equally learning on their own dime in their free time, which is my test for whether you actually truly are passionate about something, if they're doing that also, that's perfect. And those experiences you've talked about, I've had so many of them myself, they get excited to tell you what they just learned, right? And then you reciprocate. And by the way, Mike's a great example. I have both a passion and a lot of respect for people that are writers in their industry. And Buffett did it and Howard Marks did it, who I benefited greatly from. I tried my entire career to write quite a bit, but Mike does this. Mike's he's a huge sharer when it comes to his knowledge about the subject matter.
Yeah.
And it's
Pattern
so great.
Breakers, excellent book also.
So great.
Mike, I'm hoping to see him again soon. It's been a minute.